Features in Cisco SDWAN Release 20.11.x. Let's start with the Cisco SDWAN first, and then we will discuss on the new feature sets in Cisco SDWAN Release 20.11.x. SD-WAN, so-called software-defined WAN solution, where control plane or management plane is separated from the physical devices, while in the VipTele solution we have following architecture, where we have data plane on the physical devices, obviously, control plane by Smart or VAN management tool, management plane via manage and orchestration. Let's talk about the features in Cisco SDWAN Release 20.11.x now. Here you go. You can provide any organization in the organization field when establishing controller certificate authorization for enterprise certificates on WAN edge cloud devices. You are not restricted to company names like Cisco Systems. You can utilize your organization's certificate authority name or a third-party certificate authority name using this capability. Cisco SD-WAN Remote Access Configuration allows you to configure a remote access capability in the configuration group's system profiles. In the system profile, you can configure the following remote access parameters: private IP pool authentication, AAA policy, ACAVE2 settings, and IPsec settings. While deploying devices, the device variable option allows you to read or write variables from the associate devices page. Configuration groups and feature profiles: Cisco Security and System Profile, IPv4 Device Access Policy and System Profile, IPv6 Device Access Policy and System Profile, OSPF Routing and Transport Profile, VPN Interface GRE and Transport Profile, IPsec and Transport Profile, Tracker Group and Transport Profile, GPS and Transport Profile, IPsec and Service Profile, Tracker and Service Profile, Tracker Group and Service Profile, UCSE and Other Profile, APCO and Other Profile, Remote Access Feature and System Profile. Remote access is the provision of secure access to an organization's network from devices located in remote places. The IP4 and IP6 private IP address pools for Cisco SD-WAN remote access devices are managed by the Resource Pool Manager. This feature supports the TLOC extension for IP6 and allows you to configure a GRE and UDP tunnel. If you use an identity provider for security assertion markup language, SAML-based single sign-on, SSO, such as Okta, you may establish user roles using the identity provider. When no roles are assigned for the user by the identity provider, this functionality allows you to allocate user groups locally in Cisco vManage. When configuring data policies on Cisco IOS SD-WAN devices, you can specify log action parameters for data policies, application route policies, and localized policies. The log argument enables packets to be logged and syslog messages to be generated. When flow is active, logs are exported to external syslog every 5 minutes. Logs are only exported to an external syslog server if one is set up in the system, otherwise, just console logging is performed. Policy logs can also be regulated based on the rate set. To accommodate this functionality, a new command policy log rate limit is implemented. Router-generated code Cisco vManage traffic allows you to prioritize or queue Cisco vManage traffic generated by routers based on your individual needs. Using host policies and class maps, route vManage traffic through a queue of your choice. The ALG support for NATDIA has been expanded to include the following protocols: TFTP, Point-to-Point Tunneling Protocol, PPTP, Sun Remote Procedure Call, SUNRP, Skinny Client Control Protocol, SCCP, and H.323. Assigning affinity groups to service routes and TLOC routes. A popular use is to give more control to routing by combining affinity group preference with control rules that match service routes and TLOC routes. You can configure a control policy to match specific TLOCs or routes and assign them an affinity group value, overriding the affinity group that they inherit from the router. In a multi-region fabric network, route aggregation may be configured on border routers and transport gateways. You can choose whether route aggregation occurs solely for the router's core region or for the router's access region when configuring a border router. Cisco vSmart controllers can limit the number of routes advertised to network routers in order to eliminate routes that are irrelevant to a specific device. The color of TLOCs on each device is used for filtering to limit the number of routes. A route to a public TLOC, for example, is irrelevant to a router that only has private TLOCs. Advertising fewer routes aids in avoiding routers in the network surpassing their transmit path limit. This feature enables multicast source discovery protocol, MSDP, compatibility between Cisco iOS SD-WAN devices and devices in a non-SD-WAN configuration.